Hey toy collectors, welcome to another super exciting, outrageous toy review. This year for Christmas, I got the retro Cobra Hiss Tank from my girlfriend and her two boys. Thanks Shannon, Logan, and Lucas. This is great. We have the vintage Hiss Tank released in vintage-inspired packaging. It does come with a 25th anniversary sculpt style Hiss Tank driver. Just seeing these on store shelves again in that retro packaging is awesome. I also kind of love how Cobra Commander's pistol's hanging off his hip instead of being strapped on his back. The back of the box features a picture of the Hiss Tank and the driver on that red to black gradient that was oh so familiar back in the days. So the Hiss Tank I had as a kid was actually a hand-me-down from a neighbor, a vintage Hiss Tank. And then I've had a couple of the other Hiss Tanks over the years that have been released, like the 25th anniversary ones. But they always came like pre-assembled, so this is kind of fun that it comes in the original retro style inspired box. It's not quite the original box, but very similar. And then you really get to put it together. It's like the old school G.I. Joe vehicles where it's kind of like a model kit. I do think it's pretty cheap that the file card has the trilingual stuff on the back there. They don't want to make different packaging, or quadruple language, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it pretty much just says the Hiss drivers are selected from the best and most evil of Cobra Commander's thousands of yearly recruits. Not much intel there. So the Hiss driver is in a little red compartment here. Very similar to the way vintage figures were packed. He's pretty cool. I definitely like the look. I loved the original Hiss driver. As a kid, mine, like I said, was a hand-me-down, and he was actually missing a leg. And I had a stick that I used to wedge in there, so he was like a peg leg, so he could stand outside of the Hiss. It didn't really matter too much that he was missing a leg, because he was mostly just driving the Hiss around. But that stick actually was stored with all my accessories from my childhood Joes, and that stick's probably still around. Although I don't have that Hiss driver anymore. I traded somebody for the lower half of a Hiss driver in my early 20s, and I replaced his legs, so he's got a prosthetic now. He can walk again. So we've got the upper portion of the Hiss here. My buddy Nick is looking into getting a bunch of these to customize. He wants to make Sky Patrol Hiss tanks. I guess we'll come up with something else. Sky tanks. And it is kind of nice with the treads being one piece and this being another. If you want to customize them, you could paint this real easy, slap it on here. You don't really even have to mask anything off. Here's the turret, the canopy, and we got some decals and stuff. They made this easy if you want to do some customizing with this. And everybody always talks about the treads in the tank coming apart when they were kids if the back part broke. Pretend this was a submarine. I never had that issue. Mine never came apart, but I think that those stories are really funny. Kids being creative with a toy that broke due to like a fragile spot. This folds in there. And that clicks in there. Nice. It's got the fake rolly wheels under the treads like most G.I. Joe toys. It's got the modified foot pegs on the back there for the 25th anniversary style guys. One of the mods they had to make to the Hiss Tank mold for the newer era. Oh, you got a stand for your Hiss driver. It just says Cobra Trooper on it. Here's my turret. The guns are very slender on this. I don't know if I noticed that before on the other Hiss Tanks from the reissue stuff. And it's much more rigid. The tilt there, the ratchet's great as opposed to most of the vintage ones. Here's my windshield. I'm not putting these pieces on yet because there's some stickers that need to go on, and it's probably going to make it harder to do once pieces get clipped in place. This is very nostalgic though, with it being basically the original Hiss Tank with some slight modifications. You know, it feels and looks at a glance like the original, which is great. Alright, we got a little tiny multilingual thing. I guess we don't need that. We have a very tiny blueprint instruction sheet I do like that they kind of are sticking with the old format. It's not as cool. Real basic directions to put it together. Sticker placement on this side, and we've got our sticker sheet. Of course, 788 is very nostalgic. It would be kind of fun if they gave them other numbers, though, for the retro tank, because probably everybody has a vintage 788 hiss. But we'll go with this one. Let's see here. We've got the control panel sticker on the gun turret. We've got our Cobra emblems, one for each side and one on the back. I love that they are using the clear plastic like they did back in the day. In the 90s, Hasbro switched over to paper stickers, which just aren't anywhere near as cool. The funny thing is, this seems kind of nostalgic, but I really didn't build a lot of G.I. Joe vehicles when I was a kid. My dad used to put them together for me and sticker them up, which is why my childhood ones looked so good. Didn't have, like, crooked stickers as applied by a Rammy kid. And my dad did choose to not put all the stickers on sometimes. He'd always do the main ones, you know, the Cobra logos and things like that. But if there was, like, 14 no-step stickers on a jet, he might leave a few of them off. He actually saved all those sticker sheets, and many, many years after I was done initially playing with G.I. Joe, actually I think probably, you know, a few years after I got out of college, he pulled out a folder that he had out in his workshop, and it was a folder that had all the blueprints to every G.I. Joe vehicle I had as a kid, plus the sticker sheets with whatever stickers he hadn't applied, which I thought was pretty hilarious. But great for me as a collector that I got those blueprints back. Just trying to decide exactly where the 788 goes. Everybody's got their own, like, a little towards the back, a little towards the front, and a placement. And you always want to do it the same on both sides. I try and do this side, then do the other side immediately, because if you sticker one side of a vehicle and then you flip it around, sometimes you'll forget, like, your reference, and you'll line it up kind of with, like, the back of an area, and another one with the front of the area, and then the sides don't look symmetrical, and that looks really kind of lame. So I try to get that stuff as close as possible. I might be a little bit OCD when it comes to that stuff, but that kind of stuff matters to me. Alright, we got that. We got the weird headlight sticker that goes on the inside here, which is tricky to put in there. This goes in this little bar on the front. It's kind of the Cylon eye thing on Kit. Yeah, it's not bad. I came just a hair too far that side, trying to make sure there was enough room for the whole sticker. Oh, I see some extra detailing on the inside. I don't know if I've ever noticed too much, but there's like little hexes or X's on the back of the seat. Just a little texture. They had to modify this mold to fit the slightly bigger vehicles, or slightly bigger figures. Alright, this label about winching or towing goes on the front, which really, it's a solid part on the toy, but probably on a real tank, there might be space there, like clearance, to go between. Remember in the cartoon show when, like, Bazooka and Alpine hide under his tank? They, like, crawl underneath there. You can't do it with the real toy. There's a little Cobra emblem that goes on the front of the turret. Let me put the turret in now. Alright, Cobra sticker. As a kid, I always wanted them to just, like, release stickers, Cobra emblems, or, like, give you a bunch of extra ones in some of the vehicles. Because the Cobra logo is so cool. And I would have loved to have stuck them on bases and other things I made as a kid. Some details for the tank tread area. It's hard to find the edge of these stickers sometimes. I'm actually not quite following the directions. I'm putting it down lower. It really goes on this panel, but it's my his tank. The instructions are just the manufacturer's opinion on how it should go together. A few more labels. We're almost done. On the side, again, the art shows it real low, but the box has it up a little higher. I used to take that off and put guys inside the tank as a kid. Oh, what? The turret won't fit with a figure stand in there? Oh no, it did fit. Nope. Wow, can't hide anything in there these days. They probably did have to make the turret deeper. The figure stand can live in the back. Let's plug in the windshield. And we'll put our HISS driver in the driver's seat. I'm so glad they're doing this retro line. I really hope we get a few more things. There's an All Striker out. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments down below. I actually just picked one up, so I can build that on here. There's going to be a Fang helicopter, but that's going to be less accurate to the vintage one. They're definitely doing a lot more retooling to that one. But I would love to see a few more of these things come out. I have not been able to find the figures anywhere, but I'm less excited about the figures, mostly because there's nothing vintage about them. There's nothing retro about them except for the card backs. This at least is like based on the retro toy, even though the figure is updated. You know, it's kind of like an okay balance to me. I know they're never going back to O-rings. I've accepted that reality. But for the figures, I don't know. They're just not... They don't really do it for me. I'd probably pick them up if I found them. The Scarlet looks pretty good. But anyway, that's the HISS tank. I love it. I'm going to add this to my collection of HISS tanks. I have a handful of vintage ones, probably 2 vintage ones. I have a couple of the different recolored reissue HISS tanks, and now I've got the official retro collection one to put away. Thanks for watching this super exciting, outrageous toy review. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out my other videos.